Hello and welcome to OP Innovates. I'm Annie Rouse, co-founder, and I'm here with my other co-founder, Keith Butler.
Hello, hello.
We have put together a series of 3 questions that we thought may help you all learn a little bit about us and where we stand in terms of the hemp industry. So Keith, I'm going to start off with you. Why did you get into hemp?
I was into cannabis long before hemp, and I was at the Heritage Store, the lovely store that does research for the Edgar Cayce Foundation, where I found the book "The Emperor Wears No Clothes" from Jack Herer. That was about 1989, and that was it. As soon as I read that book, I realized that was my path, and I have never stopped. So been devoted and a part of it since basically '89 on the hemp side. So, how about you, Hanny? Tell me, why did you get into hemp?
Well, my dad was very interested in it in the 90s in the legalization movement that was happening in Kentucky. And so he introduced it to me then. And then when I was 8 years old, 1996. And then that ages me.
8 years old. Wow.
8 years old. And then I was reintroduced to it about 10 years later when I was writing a paper for my economics class. And I found a book in the University of Kentucky Library called The History of Hemp in Kentucky. And it lit a fire under me and haven't stopped since.
Look at you now.
Yeah,
that was a couple of years ago, right? You're like 21 now.
just a couple years ago.
Okay. All
Oh,
right. Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a great story, Eddie. So,
So, what is one of the things that you would want the world to know about hemp, Keith?
well, my ultimate end goal is hemp can even be a superconductor. So right now we recognize hemp as food, fuel, and fiber, and all those things are wonderful and incredible. But I think the technology will even go further to where hemp is used as a graphene replacement in superconductors and moving electrons. So how amazing is that? There's almost no end to the
Spectacular.
uses of
You
hemp.
do it at a much cheaper rate too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, that would really change the dynamics of electronics when that technology is perfected. So, but right now, I'd like to see some hemp plastics made, and I'd love the world to know that we could change the whole evolutionary path of the planet by just whipping up hemp into the ecosphere. So, I guess would be my simplest way of putting it.
Well,
Really,
that's sort of along my lines, but I would actually say that the one thing I would want the world to know about hemp is that it's not as sustainable as what people think. It is only as sustainable as what we make it. So we have an opportunity in front of us to create a new path for a crop that has not been a part of our industrial agricultural economy. And that means that we have a path to make it right. We have a path to make it so that we don't add a bunch of inputs to it in terms of fertilizers and mostly synthetic herbicides and pesticides. Also, things like the plastics you were talking about, they're only as biodegradable as we make them. So if we mix the hemp fibers with synthetic additives, they're not going to biodegrade. They have to be combined with other biomaterials that make them biodegrade. And then they have to be taken to an industrial scale compost facility in order for them to actually biodegrade. Same goes with like textiles. We have an opportunity to make nice textiles out of hemp, but if we make them like viscose hemp, it basically chemically alters the fibers to turn them into rayon, which doesn't really biodegrade in the same capacity that it may otherwise. So there's a lot of nuances within the industry that we need to ensure that if we want to make it a sustainable crop, like its promise is to the world, that's actually on the human side. The plant is only as sustainable as it can be, just like any plant, like soy. But soy is a perfect example in that we've kind of ruined the plant over time because of human interference. So we need to make sure that as we develop this industry, we do it in the right manner.
wow, that was a really short answer.
Sorry.
No, it was
I
perfect
told you I was passionate about this.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, as you know I do. And that's one of the problems we face in our industry, of course, is people not understanding the plant and how it works and the importance of what we know. So, we battle with that all the time on every level in the entire industry.
Oh yeah.
But the bottom line is you have to work with nature in order to bring the planet back into balance.
Hmm.
And that's what we're trying to achieve. So that was well said, Annie.
Thank you.
So,
So, what is your favorite thing about hemp?
oh, that's simple. That hemp is really cannabis, and nobody knows it. Everyone in the world just calls it hemp because it has the 0.3% THC or less. But the plant is cannabis, and cannabis and hemp are the plants that are our companion. They've been here forever with us. They may have been the first agricultural crops planted by humans. We will never know that, but it's a solid theory that it is. And I know for me, I couldn't live without it. It keeps my body in balance, and that's what I love about hemp, that it's cannabis, and it keeps me in balance, and I have a yin-yang life. So as you know, I feel really blessed thanks to cannabis and hemp. And if others would understand this plant and use it, I think you might feel the same way. So that's another thing that we promote is the balance created by our plant.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Spot
Okay.
on. I think my favorite thing about hemp is the promise that and potential that it can create in this world. The conversations and the shift in dynamic and the potential for a changed future for the betterment of the world. But again, that goes back to the sustainability thing, which humans actually have to drive that conversation as opposed to the plant making it happen. We as humans have to make
We're
that.
dry.
We're driving the ship, and hemp is, there to lead us down that pathway.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, well, that was a good answer. So, I hope that helps you all understand a little bit who we are. If you spent some time with us, you would say, man, those people are dedicated to that plant. If you had any idea how hard I watch Eddie work and myself and the sacrifices and dedication that we have made for this plant and for this movement to be where it's at today and to continue forward. So thanks, Annie.
Thank you, Keith.
You got
Thank
it.
everybody out there that's watching this.
Thank you for coming to see us, and hooray.